Hey guys, welcome back. We are going to be doing some more fragments. Hopefully this or the next video will be the last one for the fragments. Maybe. So let me make sure at 6 everything else is already done, right? Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's just this. Alright, cool. Grandfather's articles were trampled on. We have proof as clear as the pathogen causing Higurashi syndrome. So why can't they believe in this life cycle? It's because they never heard of it before? Because they can't imagine it? Because there's no way something so absurd could be true? Don't tell me that. I can't bring myself to care about the limits of those commoners' understanding. Why can't anyone believe the truth of my grandfather's article, which has been proven by the Ch8 Institute? Why do people continue to believe that humans are a special existence? Humans are a simple species of animals. We are in various parasites that control their parasite. Blah 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 blah. Sorry about that. When parasites that control their animal hosts exist, how can people declare parasites use humans as their hosts don't? Wait, this isn't the problem, not at all, because they wouldn't believe my grandfather's article up until now. Isn't that why the Ministry of Health and Defense Agency lent me their assistance, but out of nowhere they turned cold? In other words, every bit of their help was because Uncle Koizumi had my back, so nobody actually read my grandfather's article? Did they just pretend it or to make Uncle Koizumi happy? Is that the meaning of everything I've done up until today? I thought I had achieved something, but what have I really accomplished? I don't know what's going on. All I can do is wallow in grief. The more I think about it, the more I no longer understand the meaning of my own life. The Aunt Mio Takano devote her life to being useful for her grandfather, then I don't have anything for him at all. Count 3 with my grandfather, and I can go on the count of 4 with a crazy thing to say. No. If I let my mind wander, doubt about myself and my life will slip in, so I'm just going to fill the gap in with my heart with alcohol. Is that strange to presume the existence of something that can influence human thoughts? It's true that Higurashi syndrome isn't the actual cause of ideology. The best is that we can do is drive people mad. Socialism or capitalism don't originate with it. In the era my grandfather was living, you couldn't talk about the world without ideology. No article came from that time and age, so some of his references may be exaggerated or biased, but there's no reason to deny its foresight. You can't simply say it's crazy and push it aside. Besides, the most important thing they ignored is the fact that Rika Frude, the queen carrier, holds the fate of the village in their hands. My grandfather had predicted the importance and danger of the queen carrier since the beginning his research on the Higurashi syndrome, but the hypothesis of the infected community collapsing into madness if the queen carrier dies is a Pandora's box that can't be proven. It can only be confirmed after Rika Furude's death, and if she dies, it'll be too late. But there's no mistake that Rika Furude is the queen carrier in a very special existence. It's clear from the various experiments we performed that she has a special influence on the infected villagers. Her death really could trigger the collapse of the entire village. That's no mistake. My grandfather predicted it, so to say all that sounds like a comic book is just too cruel for them to call the various preparations we made to protect her a fictional project that was used to tunnel funds. What I'm going to do now is simply what my grandfather was going to. Therefore, insulting my research is the same as insulting my grandfather. According to my grandfather's article, the first thing that needs to be done with research in the syndrome is to protect the queen carrier, yet they ridiculed that more than anything else. The more I think about it, the more their words stick in my memory. I can almost hear their voices, and I can't stop myself from covering my ears. I'm sure the members of the board of directors think I'm crazy. I'm trying to petition for the Ch8 Institute to not be shut down, but it backfired. The members must think that the Higurashi syndrome is some kind of joke, but I'm sure they'll push even harder now to stop our research. If that happens, I would have to go back to researching as an individual. In other words, the same as what my grandfather did. There's a limit to what an individual can do. It's doubtful if I would even be able to go back to researching individually. Once the Ch8 Institute is suspended, everyone is obligated to keep it confidential until we die. I signed a contract to that extent, and that's just not a single promise. If I were to break it, a special unit like the Mountain Dogs would come after me, then ensure that I keep everything confidential. Even if that doesn't happen, the Ch8 Institute is to eradicate the syndrome within a few years and bury every trace of it, including the results of our research. This isn't the normal process of research and treatment. They want to pretend nothing ever happened to begin with. I wanted to continue and complete my grandfather's work, but what's happening now will result in the complete opposite. I'm actually helping to eliminate my grandfather's hard-earned research from this world. A treatment has been created already, although Irie, as passionate as I am about developing a cure, he's not particularly interested in any other aspect of our research. I hate to admit it, but he has more experience and talent than I do. I'm sure he'll come up with a plan for eradicating Higurashi syndrome within the 3 years as requested by the new board of directors. And the board of directors will provide us enough funds to bury the syndrome. I will happily do that, just like the time when he disposed of all the research data tested on test medicine H170 as was requested. All I can do is to passively hinder them, just like they did me while watching the Higurashi syndrome get eradicated. And when everything is over, I'll finally complete an article which is destined to be destroyed. Should I kill myself with thoughts of it in my head so I can pretend so I can at least present the article to my grandfather? He won't be happy even if I did that. On the contrary, he'll be disappointed in me for throwing the research he spent half his life on down the drain. He won't embrace me, I know that for sure. I wanted to reveal him as I was sent him to the world. I wanted the world to acknowledge my grandfather's masterpiece. I wanted to carve his name in history and promote him to a god. My grandfather waited, believing that the day would come, and he must be patiently waiting even after entering his eternal sleep, but I ruined it. I wanted him to become a god. I was going to become a god myself, too. Then we'll be together forever. I'll never have to be alone. If I become a god, God won't test me. There won't be any unhappiness. There won't be a sudden train accident. My grandfather won't go away, nor will Uncle Koizumi. I'll never have to go back to being alone. I am alone. I have no allies. I was just dancing ecstasy on a stage without anybody watching. I only just realized that there was no applause, but only ridicule. It's always doubtful that there was actually anyone in Johnny to begin with. My parents died, my grandfather died, and then Uncle Koizumi died. There's 3 times that God toyed with me under the rolls of the dice. I thought I overcame each of those trials with my own strength, but I didn't. I was protected by a new guardian each time, and this time I have no guardian set to protect me. When I first arrived in Higurashi, I had every intention of challenging God and kicking him off his throne. But now forget challenging God, I'm just a loser being played with. I suddenly can't find myself to care about anything, because if I cared, I'd be swallowed by sadness. Suck in my heart, and alcohol is all I could do. Forget about everything. Oh, God, I suck at reading. A luxurious black car abruptly stopped next to me. I became sober immediately, as cars like that remind me of the time when I was captured after escaping from the orphanage. Suspicious-looking men in black suits and sunglasses got out from the car. I realized instantly they must have been sent by one of my clients, being involved in the development of a biological weapon and being the main person responsible for it. And on top of that, being mentally unstable, they obviously don't want me to walk around freely. They're going to abduct me, seal me in concrete, and erase my existence, or as I thought. I expected them to grab me and shove me into the car, but surprisingly they bowed deeply to me instead. Are you the Vice Administrator of the Art Institute, Major Mio Takano? Normally, yes. I'm just a drunk loser at the moment, though. There is someone who would like to meet with you. Could you please come with us? Even if I refuse, you're going to take me along anyway, right? I'll be killed anyway. I can't make my grandfather's wish come true, even if I live. Cynical thoughts like that ran through my head. The person in the backseat said, we won't force you, but I'm sure we can help. I've never met this young woman before. She must be around my age. She knows about the Art Institute, so she must be somehow connected to my clients. She's too young to be one herself, though. A bad client who doesn't want to expose himself into her. Even if I live, I can't make my grandfather a god. I can't be a god myself either. Who cares about where a loser like me gets killed anyway? I made up my mind and got into the back seat. As soon as I got in, the luxurious car smoothly took off. Silence filled the car for a long time. They're the best. The best? What? They're the ones that invited me. I don't have anything to say myself. A long time no see, though. I'm not sure you remember. We met in passing at Koizumi since his funeral. Oh, we did? Sorry, I don't remember. There are so many people at the funeral. I can't recall any of them, but why is she opening with that? Does that mean she belongs to the Koizumi faction? Koizumi Sensei was very active as one of their opinion leaders during their post-war restoration. You can't begin to talk about that way the country is today without mentioning his accomplishments. When we were rebuilding the country from the burnt fields after the war, our nation's supporters were united, but unfortunately it's hard to say that now. As our time of peace grew longer and started seeing the generation who didn't remember the burnt fields become key national figures, we saw a decline in those who understood the noble intentions we started with. As the final remaining member of these noble men, Koizumi Sensei was a central pillar guiding us into the 21st century. After his death, the Koizumi faction quickly fell. As a result, other factions are extending their influence, leading everything to become quite a mess, right? I heard about these things from Jiro-san. It's really no different from the Sengoku era when the Lord or military leader died back then. The struggle to become his successor brought chaos to the nation. This country hasn't changed for hundreds of years. Exactly, unfortunately, while we built peaceful Japan into a comfortable place to live, the noble intentions that guided us from the outset have been forgotten. Right now, various factions are fighting in Tokyo over the seat left behind by Koizumi Sensei. If Koizumi Sensei and the others deceased servicemen ever found out about this, to be so disappointed. What does that have to do with me? Aren't you the biggest victim of all this? I think you've had enough experiences with sudden shifts in the wind, haven't you? It's true that our research has begun because of Koizumi Sensei's report and the pressures we faced under the anti-Koizumi faction have been tempestuous and cold. Maybe for them, every project that Koizumi Sensei left behind is an eyesore, regardless of what the project is. In other words, that simply means they rejected the research itself, doesn't it? Come to think of it, something this happened to my grandfather too. Back then, Koizumi brought authorities from various fields to see them. They talked down to my grandfather despite the praise they'd given earlier. Koizumi Sensei told me that the masterminds were responsible for that. It's not too much of a stretch to say that your research in Hinomisawa syndrome is the number one leader in terms of funding, organization, and so forth, in terms of projects within the Alphabet Project. Therefore, it's been made into a scapegoat by those people who want to monopolize interests of the project. Scapegoat? What I mean is that your research of the Hinomisawa syndrome isn't what they rejected. What's important to them is the content, but the faction leading the project. I want to tell you that today. In the end, I'm just a sacrificial goat put up for everyone to see, huh? Doesn't matter what I research. The only thing they care about is that we belong to the Koizumi faction. That's correct. The faction controls the direction of the wind. Sometimes it's a tailwind and sometimes it's a headwind. Unfortunately, once the direction changes, it's not easy to turn it back around. So you're saying it won't be easy to bring my hostile clients back. That's correct. The Alphabet Project has been taken over completely. All these directors have been replaced, and they're only interested in fulfilling their own desires. From the very beginning, they had no intention of listening to your explanation. I grasped my knees, remembering that humiliating day. Let me change the subject for now. What would you consider the objective of your research, Takano-san? That is to fulfill my intellectual curiosity. Is it that the promise you made to the late Dr. Takano, who looked up to you as a grandfather? Well, that's surprising. Koizumi Sensei once told me that this fact could become a hindrance, so I never told any of my clients about it. How did she find out? If they know that, maybe they know a lot more about us than I think. Where'd you hear about that? Koizumi Sensei told me. What? We're not your enemies. Please relax. We're here to help you. I don't know who she really is, but I know she's here because she wants something from me. So what is it? What she wants? She knows about my relationship between my grandfather and so I couldn't be careless. But in order for us to help you, we need to have you tell us the truth. In other words, we want you to be honest. I don't know what you're trying to say. What is your true purpose in researching Hinomisawa syndrome? To have my grandfather's masterpiece acknowledged for what it is, to have him become a god. Isn't it to have the world acknowledge like Dr. Kano's research to get revenge against those who trampled upon and look down on the articles your grandfather wrote with all his heart? I'm reaching the limit of not letting my surprise show on my face. How much does this woman know about me in the first place? Who is she? How does she know everything I'm thinking? I can't admit that out loud in any case. I have appearances to reconsider. But all this elegant woman is wearing an angelic smile. She laughs with a devil seductive whisper several times better at it than I am. A simple smile and a devilish grin are completely different. An ordinary smile means goodwill, but malicious smile means the complete opposite. This woman can read my deepest thoughts, and while doing so, she's testing to see how honest I can be with her. Whether I tell her the truth or not isn't the issue here. She's testing me to see if I can trust her enough to confess everything. If I'm completely misunderstood, please forgive me. We'll take you to the nearest train station. That'd be Gugura Station, wouldn't it? Well, on the other hand, if I'm saying somewhere close to what you're feeling, I think we can help each other. What do you think, Takano-san? Can't say anything in reply, but I think the simple remaining silent might be an answer. I want to hear what she wants from me. I always phrased my objective in some vague idea of turning my grandfather into a god, but she just taught me that my true objective is I want to get revenge for my grandfather's suffering. I want those people to fight over the right to read the article they once trampled on and mocked. I want them to believe, no, to worship every single word my grandfather left behind. That's my true objective. This woman stated out loud, which I have only whispered to myself. She even asked me if she was correct. And this woman, an angel or devil, if I'm a human and she didn't exist above me. Your misfortune was that you didn't understand your true objective. That's why you couldn't achieve anything. You set an abstract goal like uncovering the mysteries of Hinomisawa syndrome, which would never be achieved, so you couldn't help but to question the meaning of your own life. Isn't that right? Oops. Is that right? That's wrong. Your actual objective of your earnest dream is so abstract. Can you imagine? Just think of this scene. The true leaders of the destination are reading your grandfather's article while shocked at its contents. They believe all of it without even a hint of doubt. These people humbly read the article with footprints on its back. They express their respect and insightfulness of his research and trouble and fear at its implications. What do you think? Were you able to imagine it? This is my first time envisioning something like this, and yet it's been my dream all along. Your grandfather is the one who named it Hinomisawa syndrome. Yes, that name will echo in every corner of this nation and will be carved into eternity for all time. Indeed, your grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. It's not that your dream you devoted your whole life to realizing. My grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. Remembered forever. And yet, those pigs who couldn't understand turned your dream into a sacrifice simply because of factional conflicts of interest. They're even trying to trample it into the ground, just like how they kept trampling on your grandfather's article. See? You must be full of regret. The data you've worked so hard for is indeed the same as the article your grandfather did his best to produce. You can't even forgive the people who laughed at it. You can forgive those people who ridiculed your grandfather's masterpiece, right? Aren't I right? Oh, I know I am. But you didn't think about that because you're so kind as to not know how to condemn people, see? An indescribable emotion is filling me, making me feel like I'm suffocating. The sensation of being cautious and calm of just images are blending in together. My heart is beating fast and my fingertips are shaking. Why am I at peace? Is it because she reminded me of my true dream that I couldn't express with my own words until now? Is it because she made me aware of the anger within myself? Why am I hesitating? Is it because she reminded me of things I never told anyone until now? No, those are the things I never even told myself. Hey, Mio-san, if what I'm saying isn't wrong, but in fact it's completely true, I know I can help with you, both your dream and revenge. What's the matter? Are you feeling alright? If that's the case, I shouldn't keep you. We'll take you to the nearest station. No, a small noise leaked pathetically out of my mouth, like a child apologizing for a prank. Did you say something? I know she heard me, and a woman somehow trying to make me say it again. That's not it. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm glad. Let's continue then. If that is in fact my dream, then what can you do? I'll help you with both of your vengeances. One is revenge for your grandfather. We will make those people who ridiculed your grandfather's article humbly take it into their hands once again when they violated. The other is the revenge against the board of directors for trampling on your research simply because there are factional conflicts. Revenge against the filthy pigs who try to stomp on not only your work but your life as well. Getting revenge against the board of directors by having them read my grandfather's article. I'll be honest with you two, we're helping you because our interests are the same. We can't allow the project that Koizumi Sensei established for the sake of Japan's future be eaten up by these lowlifes after his death. If we had more power, we wouldn't have allowed that scum to become involved at all. However, that wind started blowing in a different direction. The project can no longer express Koizumi Sensei's ideals. It has become like a pigsty for them to satisfy their own desires. Koizumi Sensei, who gave them the name Alphabet Project, would not have wished for it to remain this way. The project should have been shut down the minute that it deviated from his ideals. To return and save the sacrificial sheep of the factional conflict into a wolf are you? If you choose to keep your grandfather's article hidden away in your heart, then I won't force you. No, I won't let that happen. I don't mind falling to the ground myself, but at least my grandpa and my grandfather's article. Don't you want to make the article that purposes you and your grandfather's lives into something that will last forever? After all, that's your dream, isn't it? That's right, that's my reason to live. We'll give you a chance to make your dream come true. On that night, I decided I was a loser and I've been drowning myself in tears and alcohol after being abandoned by everything. I met someone who could be an angel or a devil. Is this divine salvation or the devil's seduction? I fought with the board of directors regarding the continuation of our research, but that was completely off target. That wasn't my true goal. My objective isn't to continue researching Hinomazawa syndrome. It's to have the world acknowledge my grandfather's research as a masterpiece. Somehow the method for achieving that swap places with my objective and caused me to misunderstand myself. The purpose of my life isn't to continue my grandfather's research, it's to get revenge and repay them for my grandfather's suffering. And that's what this woman is saying. She's promising to make my grandfather's research eternal. She's also promising an opportunity to take revenge against those who laughed at it. When Uncle Kazumi died, I thought God was playing with my fate, but an unshakable conviction gathered together power stronger than God's die. So maybe this meeting happened for a reason. Curse you, God, you're testing me again. I will overcome the death of Uncle Koizumi, and I will make my grandfather an eternal existence by taking revenge against the God who tested me. I will, for certain. I will take my revenge. Okay. God, that was one long fragment. Almost 20 minutes, almost. God. And most are like 4 or 5 minutes long, man. I am definitely going to take a few minute break here. I really needed that break. Okay, this June 1983. With this, I do have all the pieces lined up for 1983. And sure, it's harder enough to exhausting job just lining up the pieces for the month of June. We're finally at the start line, beginning from zero at last. But yeah, I'm seeing all these colorful fragments together. I realized just how many sentiments were intertwined around June 1983. I used to think that the thoughts of people with no relationship to me were useless, but I was wrong. Mika Freddy did her best to overcome the fate of June 1983. She did two things. One was to get in touch with the Art Institute because she knew she would be protected there. Ironically, Takano from the Art Institute was the one who wanted to kill her, but it was the best move for her at the time. The other was to ensure that my Bear family moved to Hinamizawa. It actually was certain that my Bear family could move here. It wasn't uncertain, okay. They first decided to move here when their father felt something sentimental to sight of us on the day he came to the view of the properties for sale. Therefore, it was necessary for us to play in that field. It was the trigger for the Maybera family's move. It took me so long to find that out, though. After turning various conditions on and off and repeatedly, I finally realized that meeting Kichi's father at the field was the cause. Maybera Kichi is a very important key for breaking Rule Z, one of the chains that was binding me. He is a fresh air that's powerful enough to break all the old and evil customs in this village. He created many opportunities, but he also provided me with an important clue by letting me know that a strong conviction and the will to believe is what is important in staying up against a powerful fate, but I wasn't the only one who wanted him here. People in the Sanozaki family who wanted to wipe out the nastier traditions of the village also wished for him. Mia and Sanozaki vowed herself to protect Sotoko and Satoshi because she was very much bothered by how irrational the treatment of the Hojo family was, and on the night Satoshi Hojo disappeared, she exploded at Ryu Sanozaki and voiced her true feelings. Ryu Sanozaki understood, or Ryu herself had come to understand the wicked customs of the village and that they wanted to do something about it, but she didn't have the power to do it herself, so she entrusted it to the fresh air that was blowing from the outside. That was why the lots went on sale so that maybe our family could move in. Even if I danced in that field, if Oryu didn't put the lots on sale, Kichi couldn't have come. Every Narigu who provided many important opportunities for Kichi Maybera was saved by returning to Hinamizawa after the deep emotional trauma of her parents sent her into a terminal condition. Kichi Maybera's wish to restart his life was the same wish Rin Narigu had a year prior. Maybe that's why Rin was able to understand Kichi. He's like that miracle where one can recognize moments in a certain fragment from another fragment. They use the lessons learned from fragments, then humans will make those mistakes. The game pieces will make their best moves, in which the chance of winning the game on June 1983 will rapidly increase. In other words, right now Rigu makes extremely important moves on the game board without realizing it. The mighty Rule Z that surrounded the Hojo siblings were eventually smashed by their actions. Of course, overcoming herself was a big help. Their hands only met because they reached from both sides. Kichi and Rin are the ones who taught me that. Miana is the one who made it possible for them to move here, and she helped them become familiar with the village. That's not at all. Irie has an important piece with the significant inflections of his own. Feeling sympathy for Sotoko, he is the most influential piece on the board we call Hinamizawa Syndrome. His existence is capable of defeating Rule X. Kichi and Rina's determination and subsequent awakening taught us that it was possible to fight against Rule X, but they didn't defeat it. Defeating Rule X requires the existence of Irie, who has a strong will to discover a cure for Syndrome. I didn't know Irie held this many thoughts within him. I always thought he was rather absent-minded, but he is in fact an important and powerful piece. So if we gather all this power, can we win against Takano's will? I've seen Takano's thoughts too. Sadly, her strong will is strong and can't be broken easily. It's no wonder our fate in June 1983 have been so hard to shake no matter how hard we fought. The incidents have been turning towards it pale in comparison to how many she's brought into it. The weight of our game pieces are different because I've given up on fighting while she's been risking her life to fight on. I spent time sulking and drinking wine to escape from reality. It must be a very light piece indeed. I can't win against Takano with what I have so far. I need more pieces to be able to win. The officer Oishi once showed the possibility of becoming a strong ally, but he's under the misunderstanding that the Sanozaki family caused the death of his dear friend, so until he gets that resolved, he won't be of any help. I don't know how I can resolve that misunderstanding, but I just have to believe in it and keep throwing the die. Just like Kichi and Rina constitute a chance to change fate. Maybe Akasaka has the power to create a chance as well. The curse of 1983 is tied to the curse of Hinamizawa, the curse that can't be broken by inner power alone. It takes power from the outside as well. Both sides have to reach out, otherwise their hands won't meet. Just like what's happened with Satoko. But Akasaka never came to our aid. Even if he did, it's always too late. Too late, far too late. But I keep trying to die. Will Akasaka's game piece eventually appear? The final real why involves the evil masterminds who are using Takano as their own game piece. To defeat them, I need a very strong opponent for her, and the only one I can think of is none other than Akasaka from the police headquarters in Tokyo. There are more pieces who will lend me their power. I need to gather them all, otherwise I can't win against Takano. The preparation of the game board is complete, but I need more pieces. It's only the beginning. Okay, that was a nice shorter fragment. I'm gonna take another few minute break though. Okay, that was a nice little quick break. As you see, we got four fragments, my bad, rather. Let's go ahead and go with Higurashi. Why not? This game piece reminds us that no matter what happens on this game board, everything is due to the curse of the Sonozaki family pulling someone's strings. In order to put it in words, this is the piece that makes everyone aware of the existence of Rule Z. It's hard to notice with just this piece, but this is a complicated fragment where Shion Sonozaki, while trapped in Rule X and mistaken it for Rule Y, is hurled about. It comes to notice the existence of Rule Z, but this is also a piece that teaches us the rules of the game board. By the way, the piece called Shion Sonozaki is a piece coming from the outside from the game's point of view. She dislikes Satokojo at first, but through this and another piece, she learns something important. Challenges Rule X and then grows to be a powerful piece to fight Rule Z. The most ridiculous part of the fragment is that it's hidden so cunningly, and it doesn't seem that way at all, just a passing glance. Learn from your mistakes. Please become a powerful piece and lend me the strength to defeat my enemies. Okay, since that was such a short fragment, I'll do another one. That was, I don't think that was even a minute. I mean, that was really short. Let's do Miyakashi next. This is a piece of Shion Sonozaki who goes mad after being taken in by Rule X. Ooh, that's a nice effect there. Cool. With no room for sympathy, this is such a painful piece that one could only have pity. It distinctively identifies the keyhole of the padlock called Rule Z. Kichi Mabera becomes the key himself to pry open this padlock, and as Neon Sonozaki wished for, he becomes a wind that clears up the stagnant air filling the village. This piece also teaches us an important lesson. Shion Sonozaki learns through this piece and then becomes a strong ally for Satoko Hojo. In that way, maybe Satoko Hojo is a piece that represents the padlock for Rule Z. Unless she is saved, Rule Z can't be defeated, and when she is saved, that means Rule Z is defeated. This piece indicates only that. That's the only thing Shion Sonozaki learned by gambling her life, but now I think that is very important. Every time I see Satoko and Shion argue about pumpkins, I think about that. Okay, now 2 was another very short fragment. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another one. Why not? We can't do that one yet. Assuming a fragment from the Onikakushi chapter. Okay, so we do this top corner one right here, and we'll unlock that last one there. Okay. In order for Kichi Mabera to become a game piece that can lead to everyone, there's something he has to learn about first. That piece that's very painful, pitiful, and sad. He has to learn about his friends, and he has to learn to not doubt them. He doesn't know the importance of trusting his friends. He doesn't know just yet. A slight mistrust grows into paranoia, and Kichi Mabera is trapped within Rule X. At the end of Rule X, Kichi leaves a sad note and dies. While it may be very bitter and very painful, it also puts him through the process of learning something very important. Hey, Henyu, you don't have to apologize. In the few days he left Minnesota to attend his relative's funeral. Tragically, he experienced an outbreak, but I think that was necessary as his first step towards learning something important. The very first step towards smoking at Rule X and eventually defeating it. When this piece was all I had, I didn't think of that, though. Okay. Another short one. Maybe all these last few fragments probably are really short like this. Which is nice. Kind of makes up for how long that first fragment I did early in the video. No, it's not the first fragment overall, but the first fragment of the video, and that was too long. This is definitely making up for that time-wise. We're going to go with Team Susubushi, whatever. I suck at pronouncing these words. This piece is the only one that's so distorted. That's because it's from long before June 1983. Therefore, the existence of this piece has no effect whatsoever in the game we're playing on this board. But is this really a useless piece? The identity of Rule Y was being completely exposed by now. With in the backing of a mighty organization, it is powerful enough to swallow up the small solidarity of the individuals. I almost give up on this game because of its irrational power. That's why I'm thinking that maybe there's a piece hidden somewhere that's strong enough to fight against such a formidable enemy. Mamoru Akasaka works at the police headquarters in Tokyo and might have the power to stand up to such a vast conspiracy. When this power will send even Rule Y, just like my Barakichi defeated Rule Z, will he be able to defeat Rule Y so easily? We need everyone's strength, so Akasaka's strength is needed as well. Cool. Another very, 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 very short one. Let's go ahead and start the next one. I'm hoping these are all short, like this, and then the last two I'll take a break before doing those. Alright, we're going to do Higurashi. Oh, the game will basically set up 7 fragments are required. Okay. Let's go ahead and do this one here. This game piece has a very important meaning for us because it showed us the first time that it was possible to poke a hole in the fate of June 1983. To start from the conclusion, everything gets taken in by Rule Y at the end and all our effort is wasted, but we're challenging the great law that governs this game board Rule X head on. We're using everything we learned so far from other fragments with proof we can defeat it. We grow by learning. In a game we have no hope of winning, we discover a slight chance of victory. This piece has taught us that. With this game piece, Rule X was almost completely defeated. Kichi, Mayberry, and our other friends won't be led astray by something as pathetic as the Hinomizawa syndrome and dance in tragedy any longer. It's also taught us that the rules aren't indestructible and are possible to overcome. In other words, it's given us the ones who are the outside of the game board hope. It's an important fragment that serves our turning point and the trigger for everything else. Yeah, boy. Short. Alright. Is it going to load back in? There we go. Alright, fragment F. I don't know. Oh, hello. Okay, this piece shows us the existence of an unreasonable Rule Z surrounding Satoko and reveals the most powerful adversary rule on the game board, Rule Y. Can the rules X, Y, and Z be seen now? The enemy we need to fight, things we need to learn, all gathered and revealed here in this fragment. At this point, it's impossible to reach Rule Y. Fighting against Rule Z's effect on Satoko is the best that can be done. But in this piece, we mistake in our approach for fighting it. The outcome we gain through running is, I don't know, means blah 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 itself. Kishi Mayberry learned that through his own experiences. A tragedy doesn't possess the power to overcome tragedy. Violence doesn't possess the power to overcome violence. If they can grasp that, all pieces on this game board will learn the true way to fight. But the Kano is too powerful. The shocking end of this piece doesn't allow us to learn it that easily. Wow, okay, that was really, really short. Higurashi. This game piece uncovers an invisible Rule Y that has been pulling the strings from the beginning. Because the impression of that is so strong and so easy to forget about something very important. We can't forget that this piece also shows the path towards destroying Rule Z. While Rick and Freddy limited Rule Z is impossible to defeat, it's hardly a match for Kichi Mayberry and the others once they learned everything they needed to. They knew the correct way to fight and fought according to the rules of the game board, and as a result we win, and the fact that it's more valuable than anything for us. Kishi Mayberry taught me a lesson. There is no need to subject ourselves to any fate. The will totally believe it can defeat anything, and the fate I will always subject to create by Mio Takano's own conviction. So what he says is correct. To defeat her conviction, we need a stronger conviction of our own. A strong will can be pierced only by another strong will. We can defeat rules X and Z and then challenge final rule Y, but we need more pieces. Each piece fought at its best, but the strength of our enemy's pieces led by Mio Takano was just too powerful. She didn't even give us mercy. She squished us completely and made us restart the game all over again. Although we lost, we didn't give up resolving our hearts, but because we finally found the true culprit and also found a clue to fight against her. We can't win with the pieces we have now, but we don't have a powerful enough conviction or a strong enough will. But Henry and I will keep trying. We will roll or die repeatedly, looking for a greatest result. Collect pieces and try again with the will stronger than the Takano. Didn't you think of giving up several times before you got to this point, but you made it because you believed in me and followed me here. We're almost there. We can do it. Let's create the last piece. It'll be the ultimate piece, and we won't need anything else. The very last piece of all. Come on, let's collect the pieces. Let's collect the miracles. Please give us your hopes, desires, and dreams to be. Blah. Okay. That was pretty short as well. Alright, 7 fragments are required. Looks like this is it here. Masturibayashi. After collecting miracles from all 7 fragments, I finally got a hold of this one. This fragment holds our final fate. Before we take a peek, let's please just wait for a little bit. The fate that's inside will be decided the moment we take a peek. Have I told you about the story of the cat in the box? Is the cat in the box alive or dead? Yeah, we've heard this before, okay. If you open the box, you'll know, but you won't know until you open it. It could be alive, it could be dead. In other words, before you open the box, the living cat and the dead cat simultaneously coexist. And the moment you open the box and find out the truth, the incorrect answer disappears. And the inside of this fragment has the same principle. The future we desire and the future Takano desires simultaneously coexist. They are opposing and denying each other. Once we take a peek of those futures, will disappear. If we have enough pieces, we can take a look inside this fragment, but we've only had the same pieces lined up the same way on the game board, and the game under the same condition was Takano's complete victory. We've already tried that in the Higurashi fragment. We need more pieces. We need the help of a piece that's powerful enough to defeat Rule Y. Until I get a hold of that piece, it's too scary to take a peek inside this fragment. But how do I get such a piece? It's a piece I've never gotten a hold of before. To obtain it, I need to look just one more time. I need one more miracle to obtain that piece. Okay. Leftover fragments. Huh. What is this? I never noticed this tiny little fragment. Sometimes the fragment gets cracked and it breaks. Just like how the fate we believe in cracks sometimes. A damaged fate is no longer the same fate it was. And then which fate does this piece belong to? I picked up the tiny fragment and tried to match it with the fragments I had in my hand. And the last fragment I picked up was the Masturibayashi fragment. This fragment was distorted from the beginning, and look. See, this tiny piece fits perfectly. With this tiny fragment, how will the world change? What kind of miracle will occur? The whole world warped. Since I put the broken piece back where it belonged, the distortion is centered on the crack. But that doesn't mean I can take a peek inside it. It's already past 1985, and lost a long time after Rike Furuta and her friends' stories tragically ended in 1983. This was somewhat mild interference in order to crackle through their headsets. All units achieve as a message for all of you, so listen now. Good work, everyone. The local police has given us 15 minutes to wrap this up, but I'm only giving you a few seconds, so don't let a single person escape. The main target is a diplomat. Don't let him suspect you're a cop. Just grab him, but make sure that you leave no injuries. It'll lead to problems if you do. They're dirtbags who hide under diplomatic immunity to deal with local gangsters, launder money from drug dealing, to force people into sex trade to pay off the high interest debts. According to the local embassy, some of the victims are younger than teenagers. Shitbags. Normally this would be a simple case with the perpetrators being gangsters, but When the police find out that a foreign diplomat was involved, things got much more complicated all of a sudden. Diplomats have diplomatic immunity, so the police can't arrest him, but they knew he was an important figure in the whole scheme, and there's no doubt that he was the middleman between the foreign criminal organization and the Japanese gangsters. They couldn't let him escape. It'd be easy to deport him, but that wouldn't solve anything. The police had asked the embassy for assistance, but they denied the request, and that case was on a standstill at that point. When they find out that this organization was going to be selling the Defense Forces classified radar missile technology secrets, the Public Safety Division then had to move on to the premise to protect this classified government's information. And today was the day the operation was set to go. 2 men at the front stairs, 2 men at the underground entrance, 4 men at the back door. All the suspects are believed to be armed. 2 more than usual, huh? It only takes 2 more seconds for him. He'll never show anyone mercy. Can you hear Akasaka? You're on point. Be careful. Okay, let's move. This is Akasaka. I copy. Let's go. A man suddenly appeared around the corner, not hunting. It was Akasaka. He displayed none of the naivete that he did when he first met Rika. When he got to the entrance of the underground club, a bouncer with a heavy foreign accent stopped him. This place, members only. Do you have a membership card? Akasaka pulled a card after being asked. It was a card that was very difficult to forge, so they could only get one. As the man on point, he was the one to receive it. The bouncer let Akasaka in after confirming he had a membership card. Akasaka ran past through the bouncer at the entrance. He was going down the stairs. Come on, Akasaka. At the bottom of the staircase, there was an overly decorated door like the ones you see at the high-class club. The venomous glow of the cocktail lights lit it up, silently warning everyone it was an entrance to the den of evil. Welcome, member. See your membership card. The guard at the entrance took the membership card and put it through the card reader on the wall. Beep, an air sound. Slight perspiration could be seen on Akasaka's forehead. The guard swept the card a couple more times. Beep. Akasaka-san is having a problem. Do they change the system? If Akasaka's encounter trouble, we'll change plans. Secure safety pronto. The expression on the guard's grew dour? What kind of expression is a dour? His right hand reached inside his jacket, probably fingering his gun. Ding! The buzzer suddenly rang with a delightful tone, and the card reader flashed a green light. Immediately after that, the lock on the door opened up. Thank you for waiting. Please head on inside. The guard pulled his hand out of his jacket and opened up the door. Loud music and flashing careful lights spilled out from the inside. From within, a well-dressed guard appeared to welcome Akasaka. At this moment, his first mission was accomplished. Having acted as a go signal for the remaining units, Akasaka was also in the dangerous position of being in enemy territory all by himself. The door, the biggest obstacle for their ambush. The door was locked automatically, so whenever it was closed, it was also sealed that way. It was a solid door and near impossible to open from the outside. Somebody had to not only open that door, but keep it open for several seconds in order for the raid to begin. Akasaka was the only one who could do that. This is Akasaka. Entrance secured. Go, go, go. The complex on the other side of the club was getting a new tenant, and there was 2 trucks parked in front of the building. But of course, that was just a disguise. The door to one of the trucks opened, and several dozen plainclothes investigators jumped out. The same thing was happening at the back door, too. The ground level guards noticed them began to draw their guns, but they were taken down immediately by nearby investigators who had been pretending to be innocent bystanders. Several dozen investigators quietly went down the underground stairs. These narrow underground stairs were the obstacle to their operation. Everything would end up being on the security camera. Their raid would become known in a few seconds. For that matter, a push on the security button would make it impossible for the lock to be opened from the outside. That's why they had to secure the door before the ambush. The guards on both sides of Akasaka noticed a lot of footsteps coming down the stairs. The well-dressed guard also realized that something was wrong. The 3 guards shifted their attention from Akasaka to the stairs behind them. And as he sensed that attention shift, Akasaka took a quick breath and then stopped breathing entirely. The 2 guards standing beside him suddenly rose their air into strange positions. Akasaka determined their position relative to the 2 guards next to him, so he didn't need to check with his eyes, but even so, his fists had been driven to their faces with such precise accuracy. His moves were well-trained ones. I showed no mercy against evil. They were as destructive as armor-piercing ammunition. And then furthermore, Akasaka retracted his arms at the same speed he struck. Everything looked so strange in the flashing lights. I mean, the man who'd witnessed all this probably couldn't even figure out what just happened. The 2 guards were up in the air, strange positions, and the man who had been standing in front of him was now crouching low, and then that frozen moment shattered. The well-dressed guard smashed into the ceiling, and shortly afterwards came crashing down onto the floor. Later on, while slurping liquid food, he was desperately trying to remember where There it was his fist or leg that broke his jaw. He would probably never quite recall it. Rather luckily, the way his body felt blocked the door so Akasaka didn't have to hold it open any longer. This is Akasaka, I'm going in. Wait for back up, Akasaka. The room was filled with loud music, but everyone had already noticed it. The entrance. The what? Everyone, get down. As soon as Akasaka bellowed his warning, screams filled the club. Most people immediately hit the floor as if trying to proclaim their innocence. But all the guards reacted quickly to Akasaka. In the midst of all this, there were a few people who were trying to make their escape to the back along several guards. Akasaka restoring his breathing once again and stopped it again, then ran after them like a wolf. He jumped onto the table, smashing expensive balls of alcohol and shattering glasses with ice cubes made from the icebergs of the Arctic. A foreign bodyguard who previously must have been a professional boxer thoughtlessly stood in front of Akasaka with a heavy axe and he tried to taunt his opponent, but Akasaka couldn't have cared less about that. The only display that the man was able to put on for him was that he was able to block Akasaka's attack, but it wasn't even an effective guard. The power of Akasaka's punches was so incredible that they simply broke the man's bones in an attempt to block them. The man's arm wrapped in a strange way. In the moment the agony showed on his face, Akasaka's left arm grounded into it. Akasaka, you see, is right-handed. That man should consider himself grateful that he was able to get away with a mere orbital fracture. Thinking that this was his chance, another man attempted to tackle Akasaka from behind. He assumed that no matter how strong a man was, he'd go down quickly from an attack from behind. He also assumed that Akasaka was concentrating in front of him, and he wouldn't be expecting an attack from behind to begin with. But that would only be true if Akasaka was to concentrate on his front. Indeed, the attacker was very wrong for Akasaka. It was no longer even thinking about the man before him. Akasaka knew exactly when and what's about to happen. The experiences he built up to this day taught him that. His body, more than his mind, remembered the timing for menaces to society like these would make their move from behind. Akasaka's attack continued fluidly from the left arm, punched, and he struck against the ex-boxer. His left arm retracted, and at the same time he arched his leg around beautifully as it crashed into the man approaching from behind. A dull sound signified that his nose had been broken, but Akasaka already knew that. Akasaka continued his motion, directed a decisive blow to the side of his assailant's head. The man slipped into the wall and bounced off of it, rolling on the floor. Akasaka took another breath. Under the glare of the dazzling club lights, the guards realized they were up against a demon. Yes, they realized that there was no way to take them down. The guards were being paid to deal with humans. Fighting demons just wasn't their job description. At that moment, backup finally arrived. Maybe finally isn't a suitable word. Anything that happened so far over a matter of few seconds. The time it took for Akasaka to take down those 5 guards was a span of merely 2 breaths. Put your hands above your head and get down on the floor. If you resist, we'll open fire. Thanks to Akasaka's furious action, the flow of the advance was already set. Akasaka's intimidating first strike was shattered. The gang leaders wheeled a run, and they were all down on the floor, but one of them began smiling. You shouldn't touch me. It'll lead to an international incident. Akasaka grabbed them by the collar and threw him against the concrete wall. Aren't you a policeman? I have diplomatic immunity. I am a diplomat. Good for you. So how much did you get paid, huh? This will be an international incident. I will be calling the With a dragon-like roar, Akasaka's right hand fist pounded the wall right next to the diplomat's head. Damn. Immediately after that, his left fist pounded the wall on the other side of the head, and soon enough, Akasaka had pounded the wall 7 times, each just a silver away from the diplomat. His fists were powerful enough to crush the man's head. The diplomat crumbled to the floor. This is Akasaka, target secured. Further investigations discovered a secret getaway route that even public safety didn't know about. Dozens of Soviet military-grade machine guns were found, and if Akasaka hadn't stopped them there in the club, they would have escaped, or even worse, their operations might have ended with a brutal death toll on both sides. All thanks to how well Akasaka executed his duty, the operation was completed without a single shot fired. Come on, hurry. The local police will be here soon. Put them on the truck. Since the foreign diplomat was involved, they had to make sure they didn't look us, so the whole operation was carried out by the police. Instead, it was made to look like a simple gang war. They would dump the useless gang members and hand over the target to the police. Of course, before handing them over, they make sure he spilled everything he knew. That diplomatic pig would be used as a negotiation device by another part of public safety. They found plenty of evidence that said pig was tied to an underground criminal organization. Not wanting a person non grata on their hands, the embassy would likely cut all ties with him. The rest would be business of other departments. Safety's job was to take care of things regular police couldn't deal with. Akasaka, are you okay? Come in, Akasaka. This is Akasaka, we're on our way. You've done it again. Report this to the chief to get rimmed out later. Akasaka's on your demon. 5 minutes within mere seconds. That's not even karate anymore. Your face should be recategorized as lethal weapons. It was sure lucky that none of them drew their guns, so knowing how brutal Akasaka-san is, he could have turned them into honeycombs. Shut up, don't make me sound like an assassin. I show no mercy against evil, that's all. The pigs had just caught were no average criminals. They committed so many unforgivable sins. The strength behind of Akasaka's fist was proportional to those sins. The heavier their sins, more powerful his blows would be. Come on, round them up. Akasaka, make them hurry. Local police will get here quickly. This is Akasaka. Understood. Don't you guys hear her yet? Roger, I'll come in. We have 5 injured here. Please have meds ready. And there wasn't any trace left of Akasaka's old Navette. What the hell is a Navette? Anyways, he had gone to be a vigilant ace of his own department. Finally, my head's hurting for how long I've been talking. Like 20 minutes, over 20, maybe 25 minutes non-stop. Ooh. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna end the video here. It's 50 minutes in. That was a good stopping point. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all in the next video.